Orlando, Florida, home of the great Disney complex, tucked away just behind the Magic Kingdom, a high-speed 1-mile oval racing circuit. As a challenge for the drivers, this tight and highly banked circuit is far from Mickey Mouse. Hello there and welcome to this, the first major international motor race of the new millennium. Coming up in just a few moments, it's the first round of the 2000 Indy Racing League. It'll be flagged away at the track that they call the Mick Yard, the 1-mile oval at Disney World. Now, the track is used just once a year, which makes it, of course, all the more of a challenge for the 26 drivers who are going to start this race. Adding to the difficulty, yesterday's qualifying was rained out, so the cars are going to start in the order that the teams finished last year. But first, let me introduce you to the two men who will be bringing an insight into this particular event, both of them experts on US motorsport. Joining us, the managing director of Britain's oldest established and most prestigious motor racing training camp, the Jim Russell Racing Driving School, John Kirkpatrick. We'll hear from him a little later. Our second guest, another regular pundit, of course, here on Sky, for whom it's going to be a very big year, Chris Tate, marketing director of Rockingham Speedway. It's now really starting to take shape up on the site in Corby, Northants, and more on that a little later. Well, the IRL enters its fourth year, stronger than before, despite the fact that the 1998 champion and the 1999 Indy 500 winner, Kenny Brack from Sweden, is not here to defend his crown. He's made the switch to champ cars, but coming in the opposite direction and now reunited with the Gallies team, the former Indy winner and kart champion Al Unser Jr. and another IRL rookie to watch out for, the former Indy Lights standout Ayrton Dare from Brazil. And now let's just check out on some of the other changes for 2000. Now, mechanically, the cars have 3.5 litre rather than 4 litre engines. After a period of stability, the manufacturers have been allowed to redesign the chassis. As we mentioned, Al Unser Jr. is in the starting lineup, and with Goodyear pulling out, everyone is now equipped with Firestone tyres. Well, now, the race start just minutes away. Quick response, first of all, from Chris Tate. Greg Ray won this title last year. He continues with Menard. Is he your favourite?
He's got to look very strong, David. You know, the team is immensely experienced. Greg, the reigning champion. Stefan Gregoire from France was also very quick on Thursday. We lost Friday qualifying, so he's look out for. And who's going to ignore Al Unser, determined to make an impression on his first time out in the IRL?
OK, looking forward to the race, though. It's always an exciting time, the start of a new season.
Yes, it is. It's a leery old track. It's only a mile long. There have been a lot of accidents in testing, not in qualifying, but in testing. It could be exciting. Let's hope we have a smooth race.
Thank you, Chris. Well, we've actually got some tape now of Dallara working on their brand new car.
The Dallara factory in northern Italy, just close to Parma, a state-of-the-art facility which has been built up over the years by Dr. Engineer Gianpaolo Dallara. Full CAD/CAM equipment has been working designing the year 2000 Dallara Indy Racing League car. Of course, the company was extremely successful last year with these cars. The wind tunnel has 40% models. The CAD/CAM is certainly right up to the year 2000. Here in the workshop, the cars have been constructed. Kelly Racing actually ordering no fewer than 6. Here's one of the cars just on completion. In fact, these are the models. No fewer than 4 40% models built for the wind tunnel. Here you see the car running at speed. Thousands of changes made, many different nose sections, rear wings. Also at the factory, just like a Grand Prix team, a full 7-post rig, shaking the car around. And this is the man, of course, who won the championship last year, Greg Ray, in a Dallara. Some of the early tests of the car at Disney a few weeks ago. A new gearbox this year from Britain, replacing the previous American Enco box. So Dallara certainly looking very good for the year 2000 with their new Indy Racing League machine.
Andrew Marriott reporting things are starting to hot up. We're very nearly at race start. Just quickly, John, there have been major changes in the manufacturers this season for this particular year. What do you make of them? What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, clearly say no more about Dallara. It's a state-of-the-art facility. And for Riley and Scott, frankly, Reed Reynard, and they've got all the facilities that Dallara have. I suppose in the G-Force situation, they've been chasing Dallara over the past 3 seasons in terms of race wins. They have had a major reorganisation with the takeover by Panos. They're now part of a 3-cornered company with Van Diemen and Panos Motorsport. So given that reorganisation is going on as we speak, then clearly they're probably the ones to play catch up again.
OK, John, thank you very much indeed. We'll have more from both guests a little later, but as I said, things are getting underway. Let's now cross, shall we, to Orlando in Florida. Join our colleagues at ABC Sports for the race grid.
And Greg Ray, who won 3 races en route to the title last year, which wasn't decided until the final race at Texas, where he beat Kenny Breck by 37 points for the overall title. Row number 2, Mark Dismore, winner of the season finale at Texas last October, and Robbie McGee. Row number 3, Buddy Lazier, looking for his 3rd win of the series alongside Eddie Cheever Jr. Now, he is the only repeat winner here at Walt Disney World in '97, and in last year's event, he beat Scott Goodyear by 5 seconds. Going to row number 4, Scott Sharp and Scott Goodyear. In row number 5, Billy Boat and Eliseo Salazar, this year driving for A.J. Foyt. The 6th row, Buzz Calkins, who won the first race here in '96, and Jacques Lazier. The 7th row, Stefan Gregoire, the fastest in practice, and John Hollinsworth. The 8th row, Donnie Beechler and rookie Jared Schrader. Row number 9, Davey Hamilton, the only driver to compete in all 35 events so far in the IRL, and alongside him, Robbie Unser. The 10th row, a couple of rookies, Sam Hornish Jr., the youngest driver in the field at age 20, and Doug Dodaro, a short track specialist. In the 11th row, another rookie, Nicholas Johnson, and Robbie Buell, who won in New Hampshire in 1997. The 12th row, Tice Carlson from the midget and sprint ranks, and there you'll also find Al Unser Jr. He, of course, is making his IRL debut.
Right, so there we go. We are just about to get underway. As you can see, conditions look pretty good after yesterday when, as we said a moment ago, it was washed out. It's dry. It's a little overcast, but I think it's looks like it's going to be good for the duration of the race. Fingers crossed on that. Certainly, we're looking forward to some terrific action in this race from Orlando. Let's now cross once again and rejoin live our colleagues at ABC Sports.
Corner number 4 they come, anticipating the green, and they get it. The 2000 Indy Racing League season is underway. Ray jumping off to a pretty sizable advantage here as they round corner number 2 onto the short stretch, now into number 3, completing lap number 1. It's Greg Ray out in front. He led the most laps in IRL competition in 1999, 464 laps, and he continues to add to that today. Running in the 2nd spot is Jeff Ward, and right behind him in the 3rd position would be Lazier, and he's in that new Riley and Scott chassis, Tom.
Well, that's a brand new car this year, and they've really come forward. We got a yellow.
We have a spin between turns 2 and 3. That is Jacques Lazier. Tresselli racing driver who just got sideways, lost it between turns 2 and 3, and was able to keep the engine running, so he'll drop in at the back of the field and will be able to get going again. May have flat spotted the tires, requiring him to come in, but it's not a serious accident. It does, however, result in our first caution of the afternoon. And so Greg Ray has the lead with Jeff Ward 2nd. Buddy Lazier is 3rd, followed by Mark Dismore and Robbie McGee. Back at Walt Disney World in a moment.
Right, so it's a pretty action-packed start then to this new millennium, isn't it? We've got a lap done just about. Christopher Tate said there'll be a yellow any second, and guess what? There's been a yellow. But what do you make of what we've seen so far, Chris?
How did I know that, you mean?
Yes, how did you know that? You've seen enough of this, haven't you?
They start the new year and everybody's tyres aren't necessarily quite as warm as they thought they were going to be.
No.
And everyone surprises themselves just a little bit. And Jacques Lazier slightly towards the back of the field. That was where the mistake was going to happen.
Yeah, Greg Ray out in front ahead of Jeff Wood, and Buddy Buddy Lazier, yeah?
Yeah, Greg Ray took off like he meant it, and
Yeah.
it's always frustrating to have a yellow after such a short period. He wants to try and put a few hundred metres in between him and the following pack, and he was heading in that direction. It's not going to work. First thing we notice, and John and I were just remarking on it, is the engine note of this year's engines is quite different.
Yeah, because of the different in capacity, it just sounds
Well, they've built a
Sound
different
lot
sort of
nicer, don't
exhaust. They sound like racing engines.
Yeah, they do. They sound a lot nicer, certainly.
Both of you, of course, are familiar with the circuit and the problems the drivers face there, John. I mean, is this a real test for these guys, the first race in the new racing calendar?
Well, a first race and a 1 mile oval, not many places to hide. It is quite bumpy as well. Clearly missing yesterday's qualifying was a problem. You know, a lot of these guys could have used the practice well. And that's perhaps just a case in point.
Yes.
Somebody not using mirrors or anything else.
So the fact that they weren't able to get there at all yesterday because of the rain, really we're seeing possibly the result of that they're not as familiar with it as they could be.
Well, there have been test days, clearly, but at this early stage in the season you can't afford to lose anything, quite frankly.
And I just wonder, Chris, how important psychologically these drivers, I mean, I know they all want to win every race, but I mean, to get an early blow in and win the opening race is a huge boost for your own ego, isn't it?
Yes, this race is always very early in the schedule every
Yeah.
year. I mean, it's great to be motor racing again, but it is only the end of January. And then there's a little bit of a pause now in the calendar until a little further into the spring. To get one in, as you say, and to be that far ahead by the time you come to the season
Yes.
proper is a terrific advantage.
You were making the point earlier on when we were looking at the aerial shots. It's a tri-oval, I think you call it.
Well, that's right. You know, we always talk about oval racing, and then you show people pictures. I was showing someone a picture the other day of all the different oval tracks in the United States, just an overhead plan.
Yes.
And really, very few of them are the same. Fontana in California is exactly the same as Michigan, but there are very few. And look, this is the accident happening, and he just came past him too hot on the first lap and lost the back of the car. And then somebody else had a little clip. It's all a bit tight right in these opening
But
laps.
those were the
well
early
pushed
stages. It gave us our first yellow. I think we are now up and running once again, so hopefully we can cross now back, can we, to Walt Disney World? Yes, and we'll rejoin our colleagues once again at ABC Sports.
Start, which should be coming up here in just a moment. Greg Ray continues to set the pace with Jeff Ward running in second place and Buddy Lazier having moved up from his fifth starting position to third. There's the green flag. We are back to racing at Walt Disney World Speedway.
You can see Eddie Cheever in the red and white car there. Got a good restart underneath.
Trying to pass Robbie McGee, who this year is driving for Treadway Racing, and Cheever makes the pass.
Eddie's in the only Infinity car in the field, so he looks like he's going forward at this time, Bob.
Move him up to fifth position now, with Robbie McGee dropping back to sixth place. Interval is almost a second now between Ray and Ward. Last lap was turned at 148.865 miles an hour by the leader of the race, Greg Ray. We continue to watch Eddie Cheever and Robbie McGee here, who are running in the fifth and sixth positions. There is Ward, Lazier, and Mark Dismore running second, third, and fourth as Greg Ray separates himself now to more than a second and a third over Jeff Ward, and Ray is about to come up to try to put a lap on Jacques Lazier.
Well, Lazier had to make that pit stop to change the tires, and it's put him out of sequence and way behind.
Jeff Ward driving for A.J. Foyt this year. Foyt has two cars. He announced Jeff Ward as his driver late last year after the season ended, but it wasn't until just recently that he added the second driver, Eliseo Salazar, to the team.
Well, the yellow car there is Greg Ray. He's obviously having trouble getting by Lazier. It's a very...
Oh, Robbie McGee is sideways, slides through the grass. He was trying to pass Eddie Cheever there, and a nice job of driving by McGee, who did not spin. He kept it going. He did throw up some dirt, it appeared, on the racetrack as he got into that area between the pit lane and the racetrack itself. The caution does not come out. It remains green, and all that resulted there was Robbie McGee losing several positions.
But Bob, they are going to have to change the nose. Already the Energizer crew is going to work, knowing that the possibility is the front nose cone has been damaged.
So we'll watch for McGee to come in for a pit stop before too much longer.
That was Buzz Calkins, and the red car is just going forward, Bob.
He's up to 6th position now. Scott Sharp is in 7th. There's Scott Goodyear in the bright yellow car.
Again, at the front, you can see the yellow car still being held up or not being able to get by Jacques Lazier.
And that is disturbing. Thomas Knapp, the team manager for Greg Ray, he has told Greg on the radio, be assertive with Jacques. You've got to get by him.
And now, as he goes into the second corner, he does indeed pass Jacques Lazier and puts him a lap down. Now, as you continue to watch our rundown of the positions on your scoring chart there at the top left of the screen, you will notice some arrows. That indicates that a driver either moved up or down in the previous lap.
Well, that's a tough call. You know, Ray gets the comment from the pit guys to Buddy's Lazier going by right there.
Lazier passing Jeff Ward and taking over the second position. And Greg Ray was really held up there by Jacques Lazier, and that caused the interval to shrink by about half. But since Ray has gotten around Lazier, it now means that he's able to put about 2 seconds between himself and Jacques' brother, Buddy, who's running in second.
Again, a tough call from the pits, though, to ask your driver to be assertive, especially this early in the race. You've got to take what you can get and don't force an issue.
On board with Buddy Lazier. For you Al Unser Jr. fans, he has moved up to 17th position in the first 16 laps of this race. We understand also that John Hollinsworth clipped the wall in turn number 2 right in front of Al Unser Jr., but it did not result in a spin. 16 laps completed here at Walt Disney World Speedway in the Delphi Indy 200. Greg Ray leads Buddy Lazier.
It is absolutely huge.
It has a scope as rich and diverse as America itself.
Well, your dreams come true right here, baby. It's all about fun. Defense! 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 Once you get here, you gotta win it.
Two teams confront each other for a prize only one can win.
Don't be afraid of success.
I second that emotion.
The Super Bowl.
The world is watching.
The Rams, the Titans. Live on Sky Sports 1 Sunday from 10:30. One amazing day at the Georgia Dome.
So what time's it over there, Dad?
It's 4:30. Have you got your next move ready?
Yep. Bishop tonight too.
Not bad. Anyway, it's your bedtime.
With fax and email as well as the phone, it's never been easier to stay in touch.
Think he's got us this time. Just shows what a good teacher you are, Dad.
BT, stay in touch.
Good morning, members of the press and friends. On this historic day, it is my great honor. We as a nation.
Commander, are you on the next flight?
What kind of car is that?
It's a Volvo.
But how long have we been away?
Where you live, the way you live. Bryant make it special.
Book a JMC or Air Tours holiday at Thomas Cook and now get up to 30% off, plus a free weekend break for 2 in the UK. So now even booking feels like a holiday.
Hi, how are you?
That's not your dad. He's too old.
The years don't show on you. That's because my grey hair doesn't show.
Just for Men takes off the years grey puts on. Apply and in 5 minutes rinse. Just for Men blends away grey for a natural look in just 5 minutes.
What do you think of my dad now?
Just for Men takes off the years grey puts on. Grey beard or moustache making you look old? Get Just for Men gel. In 5 minutes, grey's gone.
No one can tell. Just for Men gel.
He has villains for breakfast and lollipops for afters. Kojak, only on Plus. Who loves you, baby?
It's not a filling pot noodle snack, is it?
That's your...
Pod Noodle. Anything else is big pants.
Good afternoon, British Gas. I'm here to do the landlord safety inspection. As you can see, part of the outer floor is blocked with all this ivy. If there's a safety issue, a definite safety issue, we have to make the landlord and tenant aware of that. That's a brilliant passage, that. So that's burning efficiently now. That's another tick on the form. Boiler working safely. I mean, I'd like to have that under my belt. You know, I'd like to say that I have saved a few lives, but yeah, I'm sure we have. If you have any problems at all, just give us a ring.
At the home base sale, they're chopping the prices of thousands of products,
including up to 25% off all ceramic wall and floor tiles.
To get down to the home base sale.
Chop chop!
And welcome back to Sky Sports. You're watching coverage of the first IRL race of the new season from Walt Disney World in Florida. When we left it a moment ago, the race was proceeding under a yellow. It was the second or third yellow, I think. We've just got the third yellow coming up now because Davy Hamilton, while we've been away, has gone into a wall. We're not quite sure what happened, but we know that he lost it. And Chris, we see here the immediate impact into the wall. Thankfully, it didn't look too major.
Yeah, he's really just sort of grazed the wall there, hasn't he? And he lost it quite early on, and quite early on into the turn. It's quite a difficult turn, that.
Are we having problems with adhesion here?
I don't think so. It doesn't look like that. The weather reports are reasonably good. The temperature's reasonably high. The tyres by now should be properly up to temperature, and I don't think that's going to be the problem. I just think that people are trying to impress a little more than they should. Davy Hamilton got a little bit overexcited there.
He's well experienced, Davy Hamilton. Yeah. He's the one driver that started in every single IRL race there's ever been. So, well experienced, 38 years old. But it looked like a very simple mistake, and he'd scrubbed off a lot of speed before he hit the wall, so there's not too much damage, but he's certainly out of the races. Right? He's done the wing in.
Now this, we can go live to the circuit. Scott Sharp, we understand, in trouble. You can see there gesticulating to... well, he's obviously talking partly through his camera to people saying, look, I need some help to get going, because he's stuck there immobile. Quite what the problem is there, Chris, hard to tell from this range, but he's got a dead car at the moment.
It looks as though he has, and I think he's waving desperately at the marshals to come and hook him up with a tow.
Right.
It's a little ironic. The sponsor of this race is Delphi Automotive, and that's also been his sponsor for a long time. You saw the Delphi sticker just in front of the dashboard there, and we hope it's not an electronics problem that's got him stopped. But he is now busy telling the marshals, please, will you get me back to the pits, in very polite sign language, as you can see, Dave. He's not at all agitated.
Not at all. But irritating for a driver to be stuck like that, and particularly embarrassing, as you say, bearing in mind his experience and his sponsorship.
He's, really is a perennial front runner. He's always a figure to be reckoned with. I think he was quite optimistic about this season, and no reason why he shouldn't be. I think he'd rather have a tow than have four rather burly Florida marshals push him. But as soon as he gets back, I'm sure they'll get him out there quickly again. But this is always a disastrous loss of time early on in the race.
And again, we're slightly struggling here, John. It's hard to know quite why the car should die in this way.
The one thing we certainly know, it's not fuel, it's too early for fuel. So it's more likely to be electrics than anything else. Unless, of course, he's spun and stalled it, and that we haven't seen yet.
I hope this is not going to be a blighted race. It's certainly been incident-packed right from the start. Thankfully, nothing major, but lots of little silly things going wrong so early on. We've got no chance for the race to settle down yet.
No, that's right. I mean, this sometimes happens. It happens, as you know, in a number of sports. The referee, as it were, blows the whistle a little bit too much early on, and we've got the same situation here. The important point, as race fans worldwide know, is that oval racing, it's really not safe to let people continue to race when someone's parked sideways on, whatever it may be. I mean, these boys are averaging around 170 miles an hour around this track. In the straights, they're down to 200 miles an hour. You really don't want to have someone being clipped, a marshal being clipped by a passing car and so on. So the yellow flags are required.
Right, let's go back now and hear what's going on.
We have a very big announcement to make.
We certainly do, Jack. Today we're here to announce that Northern Light, the world's largest internet search engine, has signed on to be our series title sponsor. And we are just exuberant about the deal. There's a 5-year, $50 million deal. Demonstrates their commitment to racing.
Now wait a minute, $50 million, that's a whole lot of Super Bowl ads.
It sure is, and this is the largest internet sports marketing deal to date. So we are very pleased that they're showing their commitment to the long term for the league.
Well, Bob, I think that does say a lot about where the IRL's headed.
From
From now on, the Northern Light Indy Racing League.
How many zeros are in 50 million?
We may have been a little premature. Davey Hamilton, after appearing to try to get out of the car, apparently has been put on a stretcher. They're going to put him in the ambulance and check him over. So we'll take another break here under caution and be right back with more of the Delphi Indy 200.
Right, it's 28 laps gone out of the 200 and all hell breaking loose over there in Florida. What we're going to do now, I think, is take you to Christopher Tate, because we've been discussing with him one or two things that have been happening in this race. But Chris is also involved very much, as you probably know, in Rockingham, the circuit up in the Midlands, which is taking shape. We've now got a clip that we can take you to, I think, to illustrate what's going on. And Chris, you can just explain the exciting things happening in this country with regards to your new circuit.
Yes, well, it really is beginning to get on. It's immensely exciting for us all. Morrison's our construction partners, Edinburgh based, one of the world's largest construction operators, have really got the ball rolling in a very big way now. And it looks as though it's come on so much further. What you can actually see here in the distance is the compaction level, 3.5 meters of compacting soil, David, on top of the actual level of the oval circuit itself. The oval circuit itself is about now 95% complete. You can see we are working with a little bit of a winter weather problem, but that's not been holding up construction these last few weeks. It's been going ahead very nicely. These pictures were in fact shot by Sky Sports just 2 weeks ago, before we went to the International Racing Car Show in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And you can really see now that we're coming along. 1.5 miles super speedway. It's going to be exciting.
Just remind us again of the timescale here, Chris. When are you hoping to be up and running with your first event on the track?
Right, well, we'll be open towards the end of the autumn this year, and we will then have the school racing there, including the Jim Russell Racing Drivers School, and we will have track days and so on. What's important is to get the track worn in over the winter, as it were, and the first racing season is obviously 2001, and there's 1 or 2 smaller events planned for March, April, and then we start with our full international calendar.
And terrific that you've got John and your racing school going there. It's a good deal for both of you. Exciting times.
Yeah, we've been working on this with Peter Davis and Chris for many years, so we're very excited about it. We've always wanted to start with a blank sheet of paper.
More from you, both of you, in a moment. We can now cross back to our colleagues in Florida.
Still under caution here at Walt Disney World Speedway. Scott Sharp remains in pit lane. The big game is tomorrow, but coming up next, it's an exclusive look back at the exciting 1999 NFL season. The surprises, disappointments, and amazing turnarounds. NFL Films and ABC Sports takes you from the locker rooms to the playing fields on the road to the Super Bowl next on ABC. Your home for Super Bowl 34 and the NHL All-Star Game. Jackaroo, I haven't decided who to root for tomorrow.
Well, let me help you out, Bob. If you're a fan of open-wheel racing, you might want to root for the St. Louis Rams and their head coach, Dick Vermeil, because he has a long, storied legacy in open-wheel motorsports.
I learned about, and on the small scale, how critical detail preparation was for my dad's old sprint cars. You never know what might break down, so you every single detail you go over and over and over, and I think that helps us a little bit in football. The drivers are competitors, just like the football players are competitors. They get ready to race, they get ready to play. They go through some of the same nervous tension, emotion in preparation to compete. When the driver makes a mistake, you don't get a 5-yard penalty.
His dad, the late Louis Vermeil, was actually the president of a Northern California sprint car organization, and he and his brother, Dick, they actually built up some and restored some of the sprint cars that his dad campaigned in Northern California. One final note, when I asked Dick Vermeil what was some of the things that attracted him to his wife of 40-plus years, Carol, he said, hey, she knew how to build a carburetor.
Well, that makes it easy for me, knowing Dick's that involved in racing, because I've been spending most of my time handicapping the coin flip, and I'm going with tails.
All right, let's go on board with Scott Sharp here. Before he had his problem, remember they're using sequential gearboxes this year, and we'll see what happened as he drove through the accident site.
You can see him right hand, he's trying to find something, and again you hear the motor rev up. It's obviously in between gears. Vince reported it might have been stuck in fourth, but I think he would have drove into the pits if it was stuck in a gear, so I think he's between 2 gears. He can't make it to the pits. You can hear the motor rev up. Again, he can't find a selection.
Down to Vince Welch.
Al Unser Jr. up to 14th now. He has stayed out on the track while some of the others had pitted. Rick Gallus said the car is handling well. A little Al mentioned that it's tough to pass on this track, but this team, the Gallus ECR racing team, stressing patience here in the early going with Al Unser Jr. They know it's a long race, and before long he'll be moving to the front. Jack Arute?
Guys, I want to show you something. You may call this telemetry. You may actually say it's computerized readout back from the car. Tells you things like the steering angle, the weight jacker. You've got every vital statistic here. When I asked Ed Pink what it was, he says it's kind of a heart monitor for a race car.
The lifeblood of what's going on in the race car can be determined by looking at that information.
I'll tell you, if we had a heart monitor on the drivers, you could definitely see what was going on out there.
Here's a look at how the rookies are doing. Jared Schrader, the best, who is currently running in the 9th position.
Well, that's in the Tony Stewart-owned car,
Yep.
so, you know, a lot of experience on that team, but a young driver that's doing a great job.
Several drivers did make pit stops during this caution period. We have 18 cars on the lead lap. Herb Dodaro, Jacques Lazier, Hollinsworth, Dare Sharp, who is still on pit road, and of course Davey Hamilton are the cars not on the lead lap.
A lot of guys that are, if they're off on their chassis settings, will use a yellow as a chance to maybe correct that, especially if you're not up front in the field.
All right, we go back to green now, and we'll see if Buddy Lazier can give Greg Ray a challenge. Oh, he goes down into turn number 1 and stays right with Greg Ray.
This is inside Buddy's car. He got a good run on him, but he got into some bad air, and Greg was able to get away a little.
And there is Scott Sharp, who has gone back onto the racetrack. They've replaced the gearbox, we understand, in that car, and so Sharp continues in the race. However, he is down 9 laps, but it certainly would have been more than that. The problem had occurred during a green period.
That red car is Buzz Calkins. Buzz has made the biggest advancement so far in the race. He's done a nice job.
Everybody trying to get around Scott Sharp. There is Scott Goodyear and a car down on the pit lane. That is the 27 car of Nicholas Johnson. We understand he did spin but kept going.
Well, these guys are getting away with some stuff. A lot of times you can't spin cars and get away with it in IndyCar racing, but we've seen 2 today.
Yep, Robbie McGee spun earlier, did a half spin down in turn number 1 and kept going, and McGee has fought his way back up into the top 10. He is currently in the 10th position. There is Greg Ray, Buddy Lazier running about a second behind in second position, with Mark Dismore in 3rd.
Well, on the restart, you see that Lazier got a good run on Greg Ray, but once they got strung out, got the cars up to speed, the smaller motors put a premium on these restarts and timing things.
Tom, it looks as if maybe the restarts are a little more exciting because of the new gearbox as well. Instead of that H pattern, we've got that transverse gearbox. It's sequential, so now you don't miss a shift as often.
Well, you shouldn't. It's just like running a video game, Jack, and I know you're pretty good at those, but it sure makes the driver's job easier. But again, reliability a problem. We see Sharp in the pits with a new gearbox problem.
We're watching Eddie Cheever and Scott Goodyear battling for the 6th position.
That's inside Sharp's car, looking forward to Scott Goodyear in the bright Pennzoil car.
That's where he has come out to run on the racetrack, but again, he is 10 laps down. On board with Scott Goodyear now, who was voted the most popular driver in the Northern Light Indy Racing League in 1999. Right now, he's stalking Eddie Cheever, the only 2-time winner of this event, including last year.
Great close racing in the back of the pack, everywhere in the pack. And this track, the drivers say it's one of the toughest racetracks to get set up for. Real short straightaways, and it makes it tough to pass people.
Looking for Robbie McGee trying to pick up a position. We're at Walt Disney World Speedway, Orlando, Florida for the opening race of the 2000 Northern Light Indy Racing League season. And we have completed 42 laps of the race. Greg Ray has been the only leader so far. He has just about a 4-second advantage on Buddy Lazier, with Mark Dismore, Buzz Calkins, and Jeff Ward completing the top 5. We've had several cautions, and we have another caution. This is for debris, however. The only crash of any substance was Davey Hamilton, who was put on a stretcher. They're checking him over in the infield medical center. There are the top 10 after 43 of 200 laps. We'll take another break and be right back with more from Walt Disney World Speedway.
So there we are. It continues to be pretty lively out there in Florida. Sadly, the racing interrupted once again, but don't worry, as soon as we can, we'll go straight back. Chris, just a quick word from you about something that we've spotted. You were commenting a moment ago. It looks like a very good crowd, and this is obviously very good for the sport.
Yeah, I'm delighted to see that. The IRL, you know, had a little tough time at one or two of its lesser events. Obviously, the flagship event, the reason why Al Unser has come back to the Indy Racing League is to race at the Indianapolis 500.
Sure.
And that has 400,000 people sit down and watch the race.
Yeah.
But there have been some IRL races recently where the crowd has frankly been disappointing.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to see that it must be the weather, it must be the right time of year, which is indeed why they do it in January, holiday time in Florida.
Sure.
But there is a proper crowd there, and John and I just noticed.
This race in 97 attracted 73,000. Last year it was only 45,000.
So it's reversed the trend.
It looks like it. I mean, obviously we haven't got a count yet, but
No.
it certainly looks good.
Good, and that's good that any increase in public interest in IRL has got to be good news.
Well, in open wheel racing in the States, full stop, because both IRL and Champ Cars have been losing business quite dramatically, and really have got to address it somehow. The split has not helped the attendance.
No. Just a quick word while we gather our colleagues in America are still on a commercial break, and you're not missing any actual racing at the moment. About the rookies, there are quite a few rookies in this race, Chris. A word from you about one or two of them, Gerrit Schroeder, Nicholas Johnson, the Swede?
Yes, and I'll start with the Brazilian, Ayrton Dare, or Dare as they're correctly calling him over there.
Dare, right.
Yes, D-A-R-E. Ayrton, I've seen racing in Indy Lights. He's been at that 2 or 3 years. He's quite quick, he's had a couple of race wins, he's done well, and interesting to move across to Indy Racing League. Not many Brazilians have done the Indy Racing League, as we know there are about 8 of them in Champ Car.
Sure.
And so he's impressive. Nicholas Johnson has had a couple of runs before. Oh no! Once again, a crewman knocked over in a pit stop. We had this trouble last year, and that's why they're now wearing crash helmets, so that when they get knocked over in the pit lane, they don't crack their heads.
No. John, from your point of view, we were just discussing rookies before we saw somebody knocked over, but was there anyone particular that you were looking forward to seeing in action?
Well, Jonsson I know quite well, because he came to the school through our Swedish association.
Right.
But he didn't have a terribly impressive debut at Vegas last year. He's been around and about. He's done all sorts of things. He's done touring cars in Europe. He was runner-up twice in European Formula 3. It's good to see that it seems as if he's got a full season ride in IRL. So we'll see as the season progresses whether he can show some of the talent that he clearly has, given that he's done well in European Formula 3. The other youngster is Sam Hornish Jr., and he was the US Grand National Kart Champion in '95. He's done Atlantic as well, but he's still only 21, so he's the baby in the field. But I think I'll be looking for him through the season.
Okay, John, thank you for that. Let's just take you back. A moment ago I was talking to Chris Tate, and while we were talking there was an incident. Thankfully it wasn't too bad, but Chris, you were just making the point that once again somebody's been knocked over, and that's why these guys are now wearing crash helmets, because, you know, if you go over and bang your head, you can be badly hurt.
Well, you recall that there was a very unpleasant accident last year, early on in the IRL season, exactly like that, and someone did get knocked over and really quite badly hurt one of the pit crew.
Yep.
You just have to be so careful. It's a time of great tension. The crews are aware of the fact that this is a time they can really make a difference and do something for their driver, and everybody's in a bit of a flurry, and there's a difference between being fast and being well drilled and being panic struck, and that's what the latter looked like.
I think it looked like they had left the jacking hose in. He got the fuel pipe off, but the jacking hose was still in the nozzle.
Yeah,
we'll look at it again.
He moves his foot position, doesn't he, to get the brace?
He seemed to have to do both jobs, in fact. The other chap seemed to have turned away to the pit wall, and he seemed to do both jobs.
Just a word while we're waiting for the action to get underway, Chris, about Al Unser Jr. We haven't had a chance to discuss him. He's had some fairly well publicised problems sort of off the track, and he's come into this particular series. I wonder if you are convinced that he's doing the right thing or approaching it in the right way.
I tell you what, Ask us the question again when we get to the end of May and the Indy 500. We're back live again now. Let's see what he can do, but I'm not 100% convinced at all.
Fine, more from you later, but right now we can go back live to Florida and rejoin our colleagues once again at ABC Sport.
Greg Ray is in 5th position. We'll see how quickly he can dispose of some of these drivers who did pit earlier.
Again, I'm not sure all those guys pitted. Some of these guys might be trying a two-stop race, but some of them now, the leaders, are going to have to stop 3 times.
Yeah, Billy Boat and Donnie Beechler have not pitted yet, but Robbie Buell and Sam Hornish Jr. have. We're on board with John Hollinsworth. John is 1 lap down, back in 19th position.
Again, they tested pretty well here before qualifying, so they're having some kind of trouble that we can't see right now.
There's Robbie Buell, the leader of the race, driving for Sinden Racing this year. And there is the pit stop summary. You see that Ray was the leader when he went in, but came out in 5th. Buddy Lazier dropped from 2nd to 7th. Dismore lost 3 positions. Calkin lost 5. And Jeff Ward fell from 5th to 11th.
Well, we talked about it earlier. Robbie was actually the 2nd quickest car in all the practice sessions leading up to the race. So, you know, he's gone from the front or the back to the front. Pretty good effort right now.
This is Dreyer and Reinbold Racing that Robbie Buell is driving for this year. And the crew chief is John O'Gara. Let's go down to the pits and get another report.
You talk about problems, debris on the racetrack. Tice Carlson ran into debris on the track. I don't know if you can get a shot of his front wing here. They've already changed the wing, but you can see what the damage at the 180 miles per hour can do to a race car. Carlson started towards the back, although he's been quick throughout practice and hopes to continue to move to the front.
Well, one of the tough situations about starting in the back, you're in the middle of a lot of action trying to get to the front, and that's sometimes the result.
On board with Mark Dismore, who's running in 6th position.
You see, he just got past there. It's just so tight in the corners. Passes come fast and furious.
That's Robbie McGee also picking up a position, as McGee has now climbed up to the 8th spot.
Tom, you were talking about the different strategies that are unfolding on pit road about a 3-stop or a 2-stop race. What was fascinating is Greg Ray and his crew, I believe, had hoped to have a 2-stop race, but they are running so good, they stopped trying to conserve fuel, and they decided, what the heck, let's play it safe and we'll make it 3 stops, and we'll chase those 2-stoppers down.
Well, that coupled with the fact that it's the first race with these new, smaller engines. Now, they're turning more RPM, so they're actually getting worse fuel mileage than last year's motors, even though the motors are smaller, and it's because of the RPM. So being the first race, the limited amount of practice and test time, they're being a little more conservative up front.
Well, Greg Ray, despite the fact that he's running back in 4th position, you saw there as they crossed the line, he is the fastest on the racetrack. His lap was 158.214 last time, whereas the leader, Robbie Buell, is running laps around 156.5.
Well, and the lead car in this pack is Lazier, and you can see him coming through traffic.
Here is McGee once again.
They got that Energized Buddy charged up pretty well today.
Now this is what happened early in the race as McGee and Eddie Cheever were battling for position and almost spin, but a nice job of saving it by Robbie.
Well, he just didn't anticipate Eddie getting out of the throttle as much entering that corner, and it stacked him up. Robbie was real fortunate to get away with that one.
McGee up to 6th position at the moment. He is running about 9, almost 10 seconds behind the leader of the race. And that continues to be Robbie Buell with Donnie Beechler running in 2nd spot. We want to continue to follow the progress of Al Unser Jr. He started at the rear of the field back in 24th. And Al Unser Jr. currently is running in 11th position, and just ahead of him is the 10th place car of Eddie Cheever. There they are on the front straightaway.
Well, the red and white car right in front of him is Sam Hornish. So you see little Al get by Cheever there.
So put him up in the top 10.
Tom, that seems to be the favorite move unfolding for Al Unser Jr. He likes to dip almost down below, not the white line, but the yellow line in turn 1. About 20 laps ago, though, he tried that as he was trying to overtake his cousin, Robbie Unser. And I'll tell you what, guys, they had an accident. It's just nobody told them.
Well, you know how cousins are. They can be pretty competitive, and little Al's doing a good job. Obviously, from past experience, we know Al sometimes isn't the best qualifier, but you get him in the race, and he's going to go forward.
Trying to pick up another position. That is the rookie Sam Hornish Jr., the youngest driver in the field, who's running in 9th position, was running in 9th. Al Unser Jr. passes him, puts him back to 10th, and now here comes Scott Goodyear up to challenge Hornish up from the Formula 2000 ranks, and Scott Goodyear right alongside him as they enter turn number 2.
Goodyear's one of those cars that have all the instrumentation right on the steering wheel. So instead of having to try to look through the steering wheel to the dash is part of the steering wheel.
Well, tomorrow is Super Sunday on ABC. Before kickoff, it's Palmer, Nicholas, Blair, and Watson, the senior skins game at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, followed by a star-studded lineup and a preview of the big game. Super Bowl 34 pregame shows at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 Pacific. Then the Rams and the Titans go at it in the biggest event in television, Super Bowl 34. It's live on ABC at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific. And during halftime, you'll want to see Walt Disney Attractions' Tapestry of Nations, inspired by the year-long Millennium celebration at Walt Disney World. ABC, your home for Super Bowl 34 and the NHL All-Star Game. And we understand that, that's Al Unser Jr., who has slowed and pulled on to the pit lane. Problems for Al Unser Jr. here on lap number 66.
Well, that's obviously a tough start. I mean, he was doing such a great job coming from the back.
And we can see some smoke at times coming from the rear of that car. And so Al Unser Jr. here on the 66th. And we also have a problem with John Herb, who has apparently had some suspension problems, and he is off the racetrack.
Well, the good news is it's got all 4 wheels on it, so it wasn't any big contact that we see.
So once again, the caution flies over Walt Disney World Speedway. And Junior climbs out of his Gallus ECR Tickets.com racer. As we pick up from the Monster.com blimp, you can see John Herb there with the suspension problem.
Real fortunate. He slowed down right in a real bad spot, right in the apex of that corner, and everybody did a great job trying to get around him.
And we understand that Greg Ray had to go through the grass to avoid Herb there in turn number 4. Down to Vince.
Al Unser Jr. has climbed out of the race car and conferred with owner Rick Gallus. Al, what happened?
The engine let go, something in the bottom end of it let go. So.
How was the car running up until that point?
The car was really doing a good job. I had a little bit too much push to the thing, but the car was working well. We were able to get through traffic pretty well. When I get by myself, we were able to run pretty good. But you know, I just want to thank Tickets.com. They did, you know, and my sponsors, Prolong, Bosch, everybody, Firestone, the team's here. We got a good team. We got a good car.
I know it's not the way you wanted it to end up, but what did you think of the racing competition out there?
It's good. It's a lot of fun. I was having a great time, but you're always having a great time when you're passing people. So we were having fun. I think, you know, Greg, I saw him, and I think he was the one that we were gonna be racing with real soon.
Al Unser Jr. not having fun anymore. He's done for the day.
But he can't wait for the Indianapolis 500. Watch for him in May. ABC's presentation of the Delphi Indy 200 at Walt Disney World will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
And welcome back to continuing coverage here on Sky Sports of the new IRL season in the States. Indeed, the first proper motor race anywhere in the world. It's the Delphi Indy 200. We can now cross back to our colleagues in America.
Into the marbles, but he recovered just in time. John O'Gara, the chief mechanic for the team, said Buell very happy with the race car. They made a slight adjustment to the wing and a slight stagger change, but otherwise they're very pleased. Robbie Buell said before the race, I'm going to be patient, let the race come to me. I'll eventually get to the front. He's in the front.
He is off sequence, though, pitted on lap number 26, and we have now completed 73 laps and under caution.
This is inside Sharp's car. We can see what's happening in front. Somebody slowed down, and we think it's...
yeah, it's John Herb.
John Herb. And these mile ovals, things happen so quick, it almost caught Greg Ray out of position, and very fortunate.
Had to take some evasive action by going down into the grass there that separates the racetrack from pit lane.
Well, these mile ovals, you have a lot of close calls, especially with all the traffic out there and the tight straightaways, tight corners, small racetrack.
We have an excellent crowd on hand here at Walt Disney World Speedway today. I would say that it's almost sold out. It was a late arriving crowd because I think a lot of people were still concerned about the weather, but when they woke up this morning and saw the bright sunshine, they headed for the racetrack and have really turned out in numbers here this afternoon. One other driver we might mention having problems is Stefan Gregoire. He was the fastest in the practice, but he has been on pit road several times during this caution period and has dropped back to 15th position.
Well, what's really interesting, most of these guys are fighting an understeer or a push situation, but they've been loose at the back of the car, which is unusual compared to everybody else.
Green flag is out. And Buddy Lazier challenges Greg Ray once again, and Lazier takes that car to the outside and drives wheel to wheel with Greg through the corner, and Cheever picks up second, or Lazier rather picks up second.
Well, I'm not sure what happened there. Greg Ray either got caught by surprise or had a little problem with that gearbox, or was just real careful with the gearbox, but Buell and Lazier got a big jump on Greg Ray right there.
Indeed they did. Greg Ray now back to third position. And that's Robbie McGee running in fourth and staying right with Greg Ray around the second corner and down the backstretch.
Well, and there's Dismore underneath. Look at Dismore come forward underneath the Energizer car.
Mark Dismore moves to fourth position now, passing Robbie McGee.
In the red, white, black car. McGee in the black and yellow Energizer.
Bit further back in the pack, there's Scott Goodyear once again, who continues to run with Eddie Cheever. Those two drivers have been running together for most of the afternoon. That's Buzz Calkins up ahead. Calkins is sixth, Goodyear seventh, and Cheever is in eighth position.
Well, Buzz had done a great job early in the race, and again maintaining his own out there. So Calkins, who didn't have that great a season last year, they're opening the season with a lot more strength.
Well, when we talked to him earlier in the weekend, he did express a great deal of confidence. They apparently have added some new people to the team and think they are more prepared for this year than they ever have been again or before in the Indy Racing League.
Tom, one of the situations that happens with these new 3.5-liter engine configurations is if you get out of the throttle, it's almost like restrictor plate racing in NASCAR. The car, it takes a little bit longer to get it up to full song again. That was the case with Greg Ray. Backed out of the throttle a little bit when he was dicing back and forth, and by the time he got that giant spring wound up again, he lost a couple of spots.
Well, not only are the motors just a little smaller and a little less horsepower, but the power band, RPM-wise, is a lot smaller. So it's real critical that you're on top of things when you're trying to come up through those gears.
Stefan Gregoire is still on pit road. Vince Welch, what's the problem there?
He's been having handling problems throughout much of the day, and they finally came in and decided they were going to change the height of the rear wing. But once they got Gregoire into the pits, they were unable to get the bolts out of the wing itself to even make the adjustment. So at this point, they've just turned off the car. A lengthy stop and a very disappointing day for Stefan Gregoire, who is the fastest consistently in the limited practice time.
Well, again, they're trying to put rear downforce on that car, and everybody else is fighting the opposite problem. Everybody else is looking for front downforce, so a bit unusual. They might have a shock or something else going bad that's causing that handling problem in that car.
Gregoire driving for Dick Simon Racing, again in the year 2000. Scott Goodyear running in the seventh position. Eddie Cheever right behind him. Buzz Calkins just ahead of him.
Again, the yellow car is Goodyear. It's an easy one to pick out, Bob.
Jacques Lazier is running ahead of Buzz Calkins, but Lazier is not on the same lap as the leader. He's being shown in 15th position. There are 14 cars that are on the lead lap at the moment. And And again, for those of you just joining us, Al Unser Jr. in his debut with the Indy Racing League is out of the race. He'll be probably listed in 24th finishing position of the 26th. The engine just let go, he said.
Well, and that engine problem is one of the reasons that Foyt has stayed with the 90-degree crank. We heard him talk about something in the lower end. One of the problems with the 180-degree crank, Bob, is the fact that it causes a little more vibration. And Foyt, for one, was worried about reliability, and it showed up with Al's car.
And yet, Tom, he was beginning to wonder whether A.J. Foyt should change engines yesterday. He said, should I, shouldn't I? And actually he said, what the heck? I've got a gambling casino for a sponsor. Let's just roll the dice.
Well, the battle for...
Right, well, at that stage, we're going to take a short break. Stay with us, though. We'll be back in a couple of minutes for more action from Walt Disney World in Florida in this Delphi Indy 200 race. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back. You're watching Sky Sports coverage of the start of the new IRL season out there at Walt Disney World in Florida. While you've been away, there has been another incident. We'll bring that to you just as quickly as we can. Right at the moment, we are racing under another yellow, so you're not actually missing anything. With me in the studio, I'm delighted to say a couple of expert guests. Let's first of all go to Christopher Tate and talk just very briefly about what we've seen so far. Chris, we're nearly at the halfway stage. What do you make of the racing so far, bearing in mind changes for this year?
Yeah, well, we're both, I think, a little frustrated that there have been this number of yellows, but the racing looks much hotter, more competitive. The engine note is harder. There's a harder edge and attitude to it. And with Tony George's people, the people who organise the IRL, announcing this major new sponsorship just now in the course of the race, it's all happening.
Jumped down from underneath him. He just called in about 2 laps earlier and said he was tied in and loose off, so evidently we didn't get the car snugged up enough on that first stop for him.
This was quite a challenge for this team. You're trying to engineer the car basically for the first time. Now Robbie in a difficult situation, hopping into the car with few laps.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing, was just putting him in a car that he hasn't driven this weekend, and he didn't get a chance to come test here, but you know, he's done a pretty good job getting reacclimated in such a short amount of time, and just wish I could have been a better engineer for him this weekend.
Glad to see you at the racetrack. Tony Stewart.
You heard Tony talk about the car was tight in and loose off. Tight in, it was pushing. He couldn't turn it getting in, but on the exit of the corner, the back end wanted to jump out, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, the pits are open now, so we're going to see a lot of pit stops. And really, this is a break for Robbie Buell because he can now get back in sequence.
Well, no question. He pitted early, but this will get him back on the sequence. So,
I'm ready to pit in. Good lane. Nice and easy.
Vince Welch has an update quickly on Davey Hamilton.
Davey Hamilton has been transported to Sand Lake Hospital via ambulance simply for cautionary examinations. He is awake and alert. Good news. Jack Harut.
And Vince, the leader, is on pit road. Robbie Buell, what they're going to do is go up 1-2 turns on the right front wing. They've also changed the stagger just a little bit, going up what we call 1 point. And now they've reset the fuel. They've got to wait for some heavy race traffic as they're at the end of pit road. Robbie Buell's on his way.
Well, you can see there's 2 things you do to the chassis. You can add front wing and you can add stagger. Make the right rear bigger than the left rear, and that'll help the car turn or eliminate some of that understeer situation.
Well, he was beaten out of the pits by Mark Dismore. There is Mark, who completed his work very quickly. We'll be back with more coverage of the Delphi Indy 200 in just a moment.
Right, we were saying just a moment ago, before we crossed back in a hurry to Florida, about 1 or 2 things that have started to happen in this new decade, the new millennium. Chris Tate was just explaining there seems to be a new mood in this particular format.
Yes, well, John was making a very good point earlier on, which he'll expand on, but I just think that it looks as though the drivers are racing harder. As I was saying, different exhaust note. It looks a more competitive series, new sponsor, some bigger names coming in of the Al Unser type and so on, and that's all good for the series. I'm impressed so far, John.
John, you were obviously feeling that because, as Chris said, you spotted that halfway through.
I think there's distinctly a mood change. I think what's happened is both parties in this civil war have said, the hell with it, let's do our own thing, let's concentrate on our own job rather than worrying about the other party. At the Champ Car promoters meeting last week, they decided they were going to spend a lot of money in promotion.
Yes.
I think previously each was waiting for the other to make the move to get together. Now, clearly, it's not going to happen.
No, they're going to go their own way.
Let's get on with it.
Okay, while we're at it, let's just talk to you about one of your former pupils, Robbie Buell,
Yeah,
who's been doing so well so far. You tell me he was with you back in the 80s.
Yeah, 84 he came across, and he won. He did 2 races with us. He won at Snetterton and at Silverstone. He then went back home to the States and went to the Skip Barber School, where he taught them everything he knew. And Skip and I, we're always ribbing each other because Skip claims him and we claim him. But
yeah,
it's good to see he's out there. I mean, he got there, I think, because he was out of sequence in pit stops. But he's really lucked into that yellow now and got in under the yellow.
But always good to see somebody like that who's made it, and there he is on the screens entertaining people all over America and indeed round the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it's taken the best part of 15 years to get there.
Better late than never. Chris, while we've got a moment just before we go back to the action, new sponsor. We heard right at the start, this Northern Lights, this massive money. I mean, that is another positive sign for this formula, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, sponsorship around the world is changing shape fast. Obviously, some of that is anti-tobacco legislation pressures and so on. But if you haven't got a .com sponsor now, you're nowhere.
Right.
And you noticed Al Jr., when he retired on lap 60-something, got out of his car and has always got in a plug for his sponsor. And his sponsor's a .com sponsor. And the new sponsor for the IRL, replacing Pep Boys, a relationship that rather crumbled towards the end of last year with differences about who'd paid what and why, and all very dramatic legally. And so the new sponsor, called Northern Lights, is a network service provider, and they put up $50 million over 5 years. That's a serious sponsor for this championship. It's going to take it forward in a big way.
As we said a moment ago, very good news indeed. I think we can now go back to Florida and rejoin the action once again.
Welcome back to the Delphi Indy 200 at Walt Disney World Speedway, Orlando, Florida. We're at the halfway point. Donnie Beechler is the leader under caution. He's off pit sequence. Let's go to Vince Welch.
Scott Goodyear came into this race with high hopes, currently running 9th after entering the last pit stop 7th. They're trying to fix some handling problems. Of course, it's a big race weekend, but it's a big football weekend as well, with the Super Bowl taking place at the Georgia Dome. This race team knows all about football because it's co-owned by San Diego Chargers quarterback Jim Harbaugh. Yesterday, Harbaugh and driver Scott Goodyear were talking strategy.
Jimmy, I remember last year's race, the fuel mileage was really important. You got to keep me honest on fuel mileage today.
Okay, we'll handle that tomorrow, Scott. But maybe just as important, Titans versus the Rams tomorrow's big game. How are the Titans going to account for Marshall Faulk coming out of the back?
Number 28? I don't know. I take that 28 player rather, and tell him to go trade paint and bump.
Now, when Hakeem and Isaac Bruce clear out of the middle, that's going to leave Marshall Faulk with a 4-way go underneath.
Absolutely. After his pit stop, he can just drop it on the ground, light the tires up, and go right through that defense. Off he goes, right down the end zone.
Sounds like a winner.
I mean, he's going to do it.
Jim Harbaugh, how's the race going for Scott Goodyear and your team?
It's going okay. We didn't have a chance to practice this morning, or yesterday we got rained out, but all in all, I think we're doing okay. We're hanging in there, not making any mistakes.
Prediction on the Super Bowl tomorrow?
I mean, there's no teams I don't like, so I'll be rooting for both of them, but a little special feeling for Marshall Faulk and Paul Justin play with the Rams.
That's Jim Harbaugh, part owner of this team, San Diego Chargers quarterback. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Vince, you know, there's been a lot of talk in the offseason about some of the championship auto racing teams that may compete in the Indianapolis 500. Derek Walker, you compete in the kart series, but now you're going to go IRL racing, not just for Indy as well.
Well, we're going to do both, Jack. We've got a new program. We're going to start at Phoenix, and we're looking forward to it.
And your driver is none other than, well, you're not 19 anymore, right, Sarah Fisher?
I'm still 19. I'll be 19 until October, so still teenager.
Under 21, is she legal to drive in IndyCar competition?
Well, she's legal, all right. But the question is, how fast are you going to go? And we're going to find out real soon.
What's the sponsorship package for, Sarah?
Well, we got Cummins back again as our primary sponsor, and we got Mead Carbonless Paper come on board, who've been with Sarah before.
Well, guys, if you have never seen Sarah Fisher in a midget, you should see her there. But I'll tell you what, the way she performed in the IRL last year, she got my attention.
Well, I have seen her race many times in midgets, and she is a very good race driver. These aerial shots being brought to you by the Monster.com blimp. Monster.com operates 2 blimps in the U.S. This one named Trump, which is the name of that big green monster at the front of the blimp. Well, we have now passed the halfway point. We're 103 laps into this race. The cleanup continues over between turns 2 and 3. That's where Robbie Unser crashed. He got out of the car under his own power. There are the top 10 with 103 of 200 laps completed, and Donnie Beechler is our 4th leader of the day.
And Bob, well, let me update you. One unfolding situation with Robbie Buell. As he pulled back out, he radioed to his crew and said, next time we pit, and he said, I hope it's the last time, make sure you have a lot of guys to push me. I think I've got a clutch problem.
Oh, boy. And he'll need at least one more pit stop before this is over.
Well, again, we've got new cars here this year, Bob, so these are teething problems, and a lot of these things don't show up until race situations. You know, you can do a lot of testing. Buell and these guys haven't done much testing, and that might hurt them, but a lot of these things don't show up until you have race situations.
Well, Robbie Buell is currently running in the 4th position. The top 5 are Beechler, Dismore, Lazier, Buddy Lazier, Buell, and Eddie Cheever, who is running in the 5th position. Once again, the big game is tomorrow, but coming up next here on ABC, an exclusive look at the 1999 NFL season. Surprises, disappointments, and the turnarounds. NFL Films and ABC Sports taking you to the locker rooms, to the playing fields, on the road to Super Bowl next on ABC. Your home for the Super Bowl 34 and the NHL All-Star Game. On board with John Hollinsworth, who is running in the 20th position, some 3 laps down. Vince has an update on Buddy Lazier, who's running 3rd.
Buddy Lazier is running well, and he's very happy with the car, but not happy with the condition of the racetrack. Says there are a lot of marbles on the track that's making the racing very difficult. Says track position will mean everything down the stretch.
On board with Lazier here as he gets set to take the green flag and resume competition.
You can hear him going through the gears, trying to get the right selection to have the most torque that he can have for this restart at the speed they're going.
Green flag.
This is inside Dismore now. This is Dismore.
Now the car at the front of the field is not the leader. That is Tice Carlson. That black car, number 88.
That's
Donnie Beechler. 98 is Donnie Beechler, and the leader of the race. Then comes Dismore, Lazier, Buell, and the others. And some great racing going on back there. That's Buell, who is up at the top side of the racetrack and getting past.
Well, he is. I don't know if he's had some kind of problem, but a few guys got by him here, but now it looks like he's getting back to speed. So I don't know if it's a gearbox problem coming up through the gears, but it looks like he's got it going again.
That was Eliseo Salazar, who took the 5th position from Buell as they came off the 4th corner. And again, we got them stacked up too deep back here.
Well, this is great. It's great racing, Bob. I mean, these guys are having a great time out there. Sometimes they're smiling, but they got a lot of excitement.
And up front, Mark Dismore sneaks to the inside of Donnie Beechler going into turn number 2, and Dismore comes out with the lead.
A great pass. It might have surprised Dismore a little bit.
And Buddy Lazier is right behind Beechler now. And he goes to 2nd.
Well, he does. Beechler has a little understeer on the exit, so he can't get after the throttle and enable the Buddy to get a big, big run.
Vince has more on Mark Dismore, who's now shown as the leader.
Well, Dismore's strategy is playing out perfectly. He said before the race he just wanted to let it sort out and go for a clean finish, get the good season off to a good start. They ran full tanks on Thursday, concentrating on the race setup, and that's paying off so far. Accident right out in front. It's the 33 car of Jacques Lazier.
For the 2nd time this afternoon, Jacques Lazier brings out the caution. The car is stopped right under the starter stand.
Well, you can see some debris here hanging at the back of the car. It doesn't look like he hit the wall that hard, but that's a real fast corner. And again, that's just the attenuator obviously had some damage, but it obviously did some of its job.
That's the 6th caution of the afternoon that's waving over Walt Disney World Speedway. There's the damage on Jacques Lazier's car. He's still sitting in the cockpit. 111 laps have been completed. And we have 13, make that 12 cars that are currently on the lead lap.
It didn't look like that much damage to Lazier's car, but it got in backwards in a fast part of the racetrack. So the safety things they've done to these cars, that attenuator at the back of the car obviously absorbed some great energy right there.
Riding along with Jeff Ward here, who's back in 9th position in the A.J. Foy entered car. So under caution once again. We'll take another break and be back with more of our live coverage of the Delphi Indy 200 on ABC Sports.
This weekend is Cup Weekend on Sky Sports. We kick off with an all-premiership affair when Chelsea and Leicester meet at the Bridge. Incredible! Then it's straight up to Scotland where St Johnstone face the might of Rangers. And on Monday, revitalised Newcastle travel to First Division Blackburn. A cup triple starting with the AXA-sponsored FA Cup. Sunday 3:30 live, Sky Sports 2 and Sky Sports Extra.
So hot out there. Does anyone fancy a mint?
No. No. Tic Tac, anyone? One tiny Tic Tac refreshes my breath for 2 hours and only 2 calories. Tic Tac, always in mint condition.
She won't be mine until I get a diamond. She said, give me a ring when you got a diamond.
The new Wilkinson Sword FX Diamond Razor. Alpha Diamond coating makes each blade start sharper and stay sharper.
The diamond put a sparkle into our relationship.
Wilkinson Sword. The feel of smart design.
Look, Sid. It's the fountain of eternal youth. Shall we? Amazing. Cool.
In tomorrow's Sunday People, it's back! Money bags! Win instant money! Only in tomorrow's Sunday People!
The word is about, there's something evolving. Whatever may come, the world keeps revolving. They say the next big thing is here, that the revolution's near. But to me it seems quite clear that it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
In our lifetimes, there have been more scientific discoveries than ever before. From GMT to GM food, cellular phones to sheep clones, the modern world is a changing world. What we once thought of as science fiction is now breaking news.
50 years from now, taking genes will be like we take vitamins.
Mankind is taking giant strides. Don't get left behind. Catch your weekly bulletin from the front line of progress, the mysteries of science explained in Science Thursday every week on National Geographic Channel.
Control Charlie 163, single vehicle hit pedestrian. Driver reported to be on a mobile. Control Charlie 163, pedestrian is fatal. Repeat, fatal.
At the Homebase sale, they're chopping the prices of thousands of products.
Including up to half price off all Homebase brand paint.
So get down to the Homebase sale.
Chop chop.
Welcome back. We're going to continue now with the action from Florida. While you were away, there has been, of course, some activity in the pits. John, I think we can just see now the two leaders in particular making Dismore wonderful quick stop.
A great pit stop, and he needed that in the earlier commentary. He was out of sequence. They thought he'd struggle to get to the end, and they said he wouldn't get to the end. So there's his pit stop, wonderful pit stop, 6.8, compared with Lazier's 11 seconds. One would have to assume that he's got enough fuel on board now to make the finish.
Yeah, important time to get that right, because we are approaching the closing stages of the race, and these guys obviously looking to get it right over the closing stages, Chris.
Yes, I mean, this is always the critical time at this stage, sort of 2/3 of the way through. That's when strategy really begins to matter. The team manager and the driver will be talking a lot. And we get these yellows now. The decisions you make now are absolutely critical, and I agree with John. I mean, a 6.8 stop at this time for Dismore to get back out again, probably with enough fuel to do the end of the race. Let's wait and see. I think that could have been a key moment in the development of the race.
It's not going to work like Formula 1 works, because clearly they're under the yellow, and Lazier will come right back up on Dismore's tail. But I noticed there too, Greg Ray, his mechanics were attending to the gearbox, or certainly to the rear of the car. So that, I suspect, has been his trouble all race long. He's had a gearbox problem.
Just a point while we've got a moment before racing resumes. Eddie Cheever, not done an awful lot early on, suddenly has become a bit more involved in the important stage of the race. How do you see the way he's racing today, Chris?
You know, people are always rude about Eddie Cheever, and he was always used to be called underachiever and so on. And I think the fact of the matter is that he's now immensely experienced at this. He's an Indy 500 winner. He's won this very race twice.
And he's currently in fourth spot.
Never underestimate what Eddie Cheever's going to do.
Right, let's see if we can now rejoin our colleagues out there once again at Walt Disney World.
Is on board camera. Looks like they're going to push him on the pit apron and possibly behind the wall.
We're seeing gearbox problems here, Bob. Again, they lighten up the gearbox to try to make it safer for the driver, but it's obviously caused some problems.
Super Sunday on ABC tomorrow before the kickoff. It's Palmer, Nicholson, Player, and Watson, the senior skin game at noon Eastern. Then a star-studded lineup and a preview of the big game, Super Bowl 34, the pregame show at 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific, and then the Rams and the Titans in the biggest event in television, Super Bowl 34. It's live on ABC at 6 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, 3 o'clock Pacific. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Arton Dare is the best rookie right now. At least that is the rookie furthest to the front. 13th position. Jared Schrader is 14th. Nicholas Johnson 15th. So 3 of them running there right nose to tail.
Well, they've done a nice job staying out of trouble, Bob. This is a tight racetrack, a tough little place to get around, and they're doing a super job.
Once again, it's Tice Carlson in that blue car that is at the tail end of the lead lap as they come down to take the green flag and restart. Robbie McGee is several cars back. Here's Mark Dismore, who is in 2nd position. And Dismore getting passed there by Lazier.
Well, that's Lazier on the outside. He just radioed to his crew and said he had trouble the first couple laps on sticker tires, but doesn't look like he's having a whole lot of trouble right now.
As a matter of fact, he's taken the lead. He's also passed Robbie McGee. And look at this.
Look at the traffic.
Oh, man. 2 and 3 wide down the straightaway.
Look at the smoke. We got
a car smoking badly here. Maybe that was tire smoke, was it?
I don't know. He wasn't that far out of the groove, but I don't think he'd be spinning them that hard in that position. But
well, someone's slowing down, and it's Mark Dismore. It's Dismore slowing down after a great race.
And then listen to this. It's a gearbox. Another gearbox is going awry, guys.
You heard him on the radio. A gearbox problem.
Stay down low.
And once again, a big disappointment for the Greenfield, Indiana native.
Next time, we'll take a look.
Gonna call him in. Drops down to the pit entrance.
Well, he's still able to downshift it anyway. He's able to pump a couple gears in there.
And he coasts into his pit box, and the crew will take a look, but it's going to eliminate Mark Dismore from any chance of winning here this afternoon after he led 30 laps of this event. So Buddy Lazier now has the lead on the racetrack by just about 2 seconds over Eddie Cheever. It's the first race that Lazier has led since Atlanta last July. He only led 5 laps in all of 1999.
Again, there's a lot of things that make a race team. Some of it's equipment, and this Riley Scott is definitely going to open some eyeballs right now.
No question about that. Here is 2nd and 3rd, Cheever and McGee.
And that's Cheever in the red, white, and blue car. And the Energizer Bunny right behind looking black.
Robbie McGee, of course, was the Rookie of the Year at the Indianapolis 500 last year. Here is Robbie Buell in 4th position. Now he just went to the inside of Scott Sharp, but remember that Scott Sharp is 13 laps down, running back in 19th position. Scott Goodyear, with whom we are on board right now, is in 5th position, about 4 seconds behind the leader, Lazier. Eliseo Salazar, who's running 6th. Jeff Ward right behind him. His Foyt teammate is running 7th. And we're on board with Jeff right now.
You can hear him have to get out of the throttle for traffic, and that really kills your momentum.
It's Ayrton Dare just ahead of Jeff Ward. Donnie Beechler, who was leading this race, has dropped back to 8th position. Buzz Calkins running 9th. And Billy Bode is the last car on the lead lap in 10th position with now less than 50 laps to go.
Again, Beechler's dropped back a little bit, but he's trying to go the way on without stopping, yep. So it might work out. We'll have to wait and see.
Eliseo Salazar has had a good run here today, showing in 6th position.
That's Salazar on the inside there in the blue and red car.
Jack, what's the story on Mark Dismore?
You know, on the back of the gearboxes, Tom and Bob, where they had that little cooler? Well, that's exactly what became dislodged and ran all the gear oil out of the new transverse gearbox. They have reattached the small cooler. They have added all new gear oil. They're about to refire Mark Dismore. They'll have to watch the pressers, but they think they're going to be able to send him back out on the racetrack.
Jack, where'd that oil go? Did it go to the racetrack, or is it?
I'm afraid I didn't see a lot more of it come out on pit road, so it must be out there somewhere.
Hopefully disperse someplace where it doesn't become a factor in the groove.
Well, we would have seen some results of that by now.
I'm sure we would have, yeah.
Do you remember when we heard the report of about a lot of smoke? I begin to wonder if maybe that's where a lot of it went. We thought it might have been tire smoke. Maybe it was gear oil smoke.
Well, again, here is Scott Goodyear running 5th. Up ahead of him is Robbie McGee, and up ahead of him is Robbie Buell, who's running 3rd.
You can see the 33 on Scott's wheel. That indicates the amount of fuel that would be left in the car. When he sees that on that wheel, he's got to be looking for the pits in a short amount of time. The tanks hold 35 gallons, Bob, so they're giving themselves a little bit of a cushion being the first race on these new cars. You can hear him blip the throttle a little bit. He's trying to get back after it, but he's got to wait on it a little bit. Drivers don't like that, but many times there's nothing you can do about it. Sit and fight it.
Vince has more on Lazier. Vince?
Buddy Lazier running in front, and his car is handling better. Initially, when he went out on the sticker tires, the car wasn't handling quite as well, but the tires have worn down. Now it is handling very smoothly. Ron Himmelgarn extremely pleased. They didn't get this car until January 4th, so they've been under the gun as far as testing is concerned. The Riley and Scott car, of course, now owned by Reynard. Reynard was the car that Buddy Lazier was driving when he won the Indianapolis 500 in 1996.
And the best finish for a Riley and Scott chassis was in New Hampshire in 1998 as 6th.
Well, in NASCAR, if a Ford wins on Sunday, they sell a bunch on Monday. We might sell some Riley Scotts come Monday.
I'll tell you what, if we have a win by another guy that would be the first 3-time winner, and that would be Eddie Cheever Jr., we would literally have a lot of celebration because he's running that Infinity engine, the lone Infinity. Guys, they have never won an IRL race.
Again, as you look at the running order in the upper left of your screen, if you see an arrow, that indicates that a driver has either gained or lost a position in the last lap.
The yellow car being Goodyear. Right behind him, the blue and red car is that Foyt car of Salazar.
And there's here's a good indication of how different the 90-degree crank sounds. When we heard Eliseo go by that speed shot there, you could hear that it's a much lower and throatier sound than those running the 180-degree crankshaft.
Well, it really is. The 180 sounds like it's going faster, but the results are we got a Foyt car running towards the front, and it's still running.
37 laps to go with Buddy Lazier, who last won at Charlotte in July of 1997, showing the way with about a 3 1/3 second advantage over Eddie Cheever. 10 cars on the lead lap. This is Robbie McGee, Scott Goodyear, and Eliseo Salazar in 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Salazar in that Rio car, the slot machines must be running pretty loose today because they're throwing a lot of 7s.
Both of A.J. Foyt's cars are in the top 10, with Salazar in 6th and Jeff Ward in 8th position.
Usually, guys, this is a time where if you're the pursuer, your spotter can help you and tell you, hey, pick it up, go faster. Don't forget, Eddie Cheever doesn't have a spotter. His radio isn't working properly. He's spotting for himself.
Well, sometimes that could be better, Jack, because a lot of times the driver's out there in the ragged edge in every corner, and when you get your chief mechanic or your spotter saying, could you give me a little bit more, sometimes that's not what the driver wants to hear out there.
ABC Sports welcoming you to our first Northern Light Indy Racing League coverage of the year, the Delphi Indy 200 at Walt Disney World Speedway. Buddy Lazier is leading over Eddie Cheever by about 2 seconds with 167 of the 200 laps completed. We have had several cautions and a couple of wall incidents. Jacques Lazier and Davey Hamilton have been transferred to local hospitals as precautionary measures. Neither is believed to be injured seriously, but we'll wait for further reports on them before giving any official information out. Robbie Unser also had an incident with the wall. He's okay. And Al Unser Jr. in his debut in the Northern Light Indy Racing League is going to be shown in 25th position next to the last. He was out earlier with an engine problem. We're watching 4th, 5th, and 6th, McGee, Goodyear, and Salazar. And here is Stefan Gregoire. And this has been a very disappointing day for Stefan. Fastest in the practice, the little that we had on Thursday. There was none yesterday, and there was no qualifying either, of course, but he came into this race with great hopes. He has another problem and is coming in. Right now, he's shown in 16th position, some 10 laps down.
See how tall the side pods look on those new G-forces. Again, from a safety standpoint, trying to improve the safety and protect the driver a little bit more. But somewhere in the air, in the wind tunnel, they found that it wasn't bad aerodynamically either. There's Eddie Cheever in the red, white, and blue car. Eddie, the only Infinity.
And we understand that Robbie McGee got way loose, and he's loose there coming off the corner.
He really is. They've got something going down, a tire or something, because that car did a serious wiggle, and he got away with it.
And he is back to 6th position as both Goodyear and Salazar have been able to pass him.
Get a little smoother that time, but anytime the car wiggles that much, usually the next couple corners, the driver tries to let the heartbeat get down, and he doesn't quite press her to the floor as hard.
And here's a replay way up out of the groove, and we see Salazar and Goodyear getting by him.
Well, you can see it wiggle 2 or 3 times once it got out there, but now a lot of times you pick up the marbles now when you get up that high, so going down in the next corner, he probably still has some of that effect.
Second place, Eddie Cheever, and third place, Robbie Buell. And I tell you, I think I'm as impressed with Robbie Buell's performance here today as with anyone. This new Dreyer and Reinhold team with Purex sponsorship, he has had a fantastic afternoon.
No question. Not much testing and just a super job.
Bob, let me update you quickly on the pit condition of Eddie Cheever Jr. You won't see him back on pit road before the end of this race. They say they're going to roll the dice and go the distance.
Okay, well, we'll see how many think they can go the distance. Vince has an update on Stefan Gregoire, who's still in the pits.
Oh, it's been one problem after another for the Dick Simon Racing team. An electrical problem for Stefan Gregoire this time. Earlier it was handling and a rear wing problem. As for Robbie McGee, you saw him do a little shimmy and shake. He got up high trying to avoid traffic.
We got
down
a
low.
crash.
On the track.
Crash between turns 2 and 3 once again.
Actually, just a spin. The guy's driving her back in.
And so is there a caution? There is not a caution. Yes, there is. Now it comes out. And Cheever just took the lead.
Well, Cheever was definitely catching Lazier right before the yellow came out.
But he let him back around since we were under caution.
This is going to provide a pretty good shootout at the end of this one, Bob.
24 laps to go.
Top 3 guys right there all together. How about the job for the Infinity? They worked on reliability. They got the power up last year, but didn't have the reliability, and so they worked hard this winter on reliability. And they actually have a Phase 2 motor coming here in the next couple of weeks, so Eddie should be smiling.
And it was Doug Godero who spun, causing this caution. We'll take a break and be back with more in a moment to Walt Disney World Speedway. Well, we got 20 laps to go, Jack.
And that is the one thing that Ronnie Dawes, the crew chief for Buddy Lazier, keeps reminding Buddy of. They are trying to conserve fuel. When I asked them if they could go the distance, they said yes. And then I looked and they crossed their fingers. So they are running the gambit as far as they can. And they have been talking to Buddy. And uncharacteristically, Buddy's been very cool in the cockpit today. Just going 10-4 and acknowledging radio transmissions. What about from your end, Vince Welch?
Eddie Cheever, at least keeping a sense of humor, he just radioed in and said, there isn't one wall I haven't hit today. So Cheever driving the wheels off of it and using all the racetrack. Eddie did mention during the radio that it's very difficult for him to hear on his radio during green, so he's communicating almost exclusively during the yellow. And I must tell you that the Nissan engineers down in the pit box of Eddie Cheever, they're trying not to smile, but it's creeping out to the edges of their lips as we speak.
If you play the numbers, here are some interesting statistics. Buddy Lazier has won 2 races in his IRL career, Indianapolis in '96, Charlotte in '98. Each time he started in 5th position. Where did he start today? 5th.
Is that your final answer?
Keep an eye on Cheever trying to become a 3-time winner in 5 outings here at Walt Disney World. They're punching up for the restart. This should be good. Lazier, Cheever, and Buell, and here we go.
Those 3 get a pretty good jump on the rest of the pack, Bob, so they're gone.
To traffic out there in turn number 1. Again, Robbie McGee loses several positions. He gets up high. We'll keep our eyes toward the front of the field, however, as we watch these 3 shoot it out for the last 17 laps of this race.
Well, just before the yellow, the second, third place cars were starting to close on the leader. So once Lazier's tires get heated up, he tends to start slowing down. Let's see what 17 laps are going to do.
Month of May that Robbie Buell, running there in 3rd, had, as he just barely got into last year's Indianapolis 500 field after numerous problems, but gave the car a great ride. The big game is tomorrow. And coming up next, right after the conclusion of our race, it's an exclusive look back at the '99 NFL season. Surprises, disappointments, and turnarounds. NFL Films and ABC Sports takes you from the locker rooms to the playing fields on the road to the Super Bowl. That's coming up next in less than 15 laps. ABC, your home for the Super Bowl 34 and the NHL All-Star Game.
Bob, we know that Lazier is not going to pit. We know Cheever doesn't want to pit. What about 3rd place? Just checked in with Robbie Buell's crew, and they said, we're not coming in either.
Well, there's an interesting bit of information there, as Scott Goodyear had the fastest lap, but he is not running in a great deal of traffic, as are the 3 ahead of him.
Well, I don't think traffic's been a problem slowing these guys down right now. They're hoofing it pretty good. So the question is, does Scott have enough time to close the gap?
Right now, it looks like a duel between or among these three, as Scott Goodyear is almost 3 seconds behind the third-place car of Robbie Buell. And now we see Lazier opening up a little bit more daylight between himself and Eddie Cheever.
Well, again, down here at this point, turbulence becomes a problem. When the cars are so evenly matched like they are in this series, the little bit of turbulence can really destroy the car's handling, and it's going to make it very difficult for these guys to get by.
Well, we're on the road to Indy, of course. There are 3 events before the Indianapolis 500 on Memorial Day weekend, at Phoenix, Arizona, then at Las Vegas, and then the Indy 500. So the teams are learning a lot about what they will be facing at Indianapolis, and it's obvious that some teams are learning that perhaps they made the right decision to, for instance, go to the Riley and Scott chassis, and maybe for Eddie Cheever, that decision to go to Infinity last year is going to pay off big time for him.
Well, we might see a few more of each of those combinations before we get to Indianapolis, Bob.
Well, they remain about the same interval, 0.6 of a second between Lazier and Cheever, and just about that much between Cheever and Buell.
Oh, look at traffic.
Whoa!
He downshifted. You see that? He caught a gear. That's how much momentum he lost. So they got to be coming from behind. There they are.
Oh, and here's Cheever making a bid for the lead in turn number 2. He drives it in and comes out with the lead. A great move by Eddie Cheever, and Cheever has the lead.
And a gear, you see Buddy looking for different gears. Traffic, a big key on these short ovals, and it just caught Buddy out a little bit right there.
But can Lazier mount a challenge and come back? Well, instead, Buell comes up on Lazier now and maybe looking for second, and indeed, Robbie Buell goes to second. So Cheever has the lead now with Buell second, and all of a sudden, Buddy Lazier is third. Couldn't understand what he was saying. Could you, Tom?
No, I didn't catch it, but I know one thing. He had to go up and down through the gears.
We heard him say something about tires, but it was really...
Well, again, after he ran a few laps under the green, the car started to go away. Just like before the last yellow, these two guys were catching him, and for whatever happens, after a few laps, the tires go away.
Robbie Buell now begins to close in on Eddie Cheever. There are just a few car lengths separating those two. Buell started back in 22nd position.
Sorry, 4 remaining, Robbie, 4.
Well, again, Robbie earlier was complaining about understeer or push. As he gets up behind Eddie, it's going to make the car even push worse.
Real quickly, guys, let me update you what happened to Lazier. Lazier went offline. You know the marbles, the tire wear? He got up offline, got in there, collected it up on the tires. It made them go out of balance, and he really had a wild ride there for a while.
Well, he was probably forced up there by Cheever when he made the pass there in turn 2, you think?
Well, it was either Cheever or when he caught up to the slower traffic, and the slower traffic really surprised him. Caught him off a little bit, and it looks like it's going to cost him the race.
Keep the pressure on.
Coming up on 3 laps to go, and Robbie Buell still is very much a factor in this race.
Well, and it looks like they're going to catch traffic before the 3 or 4 laps are up, so this could get real interesting.
Just about 5 car lengths separate first and second, but Cheever coming up on some slower traffic. It all depends where he catches that traffic as to whether or not it will be a factor.
Well, he's on the outside here, so that's not going to slow him up much, but he's in the grade.
Oh, and Buell gets him!
Wow.
Buell takes the lead!
Again, if they get offline just a little bit, they catch the marbles.
So Robbie Buell has taken the lead, and now he's stretching out the advantage as he heads for the white flag. There it is, one more lap to go. Now we see Cheever and Lazier battling again, and Lazier almost crashes. He goes to the inside, but he takes second, and Scott Goodyear is right there in the thick of the battle also.
That's for position. The yellow car's got a run on him. How about Robbie Buell?
Oh, man, what an afternoon. We may not be able to talk to him because we have run over our allotted time, but what a day for Robbie Buell, who wins the Delphi Indy 200. It's Lazier, Cheever, and Goodyear finishing second, third, and fourth. Man, what a race.
They raced right to the finish line. I've got to give you that.
Wow, what a day for Robbie Buell. Second career win from 22nd starting position in the Purex Dryer and Rainbow car.
You can't start much farther back than that. That's a tremendous effort.
Slipping off. He was fucking with them. That should be a massive penalty.
A great win for Robbie Buell here at the Delphi Indy 200 over Buddy Lazier, Eddie Cheever, Scott Goodyear, Eliseo Salazar, Donnie Beechler, Jeff Ward, Buzz Calkins, Billy Boat, and Robbie McGee. Next, ABC Sports and NFL Films presents The Road to the Super Bowl, an in-depth look at the 1999 NFL season. Then join us tomorrow for the biggest day in television. Super Bowl pregame starts at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 Pacific. Then 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific. It is the big game, the St. Louis Rams against the Tennessee Titans in Super Bowl 34. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence.
So it's congratulations then to Robbie Buell. What a exciting couple of laps there were at the end there. You just wonder what's going through Eddie Cheever's mind at the moment. Let's just talk to the two studio guests who've been enjoying the action with me here in London all this afternoon and this evening. John, first of all, your thoughts. Obviously you're delighted. One of your former pupils as well.
Fantastic result for him. I'm really delighted, but I didn't catch the number on the blue car, but whoever was the driver of that, I should start running now, because Eddie's going to be after him big time.
Well, we're seeing, aren't we, Chris, there's a bit of drama here in the pits. Eddie Cheever, obviously not a happy man. He's sort of being held back, if you like. I mean, it was potentially quite nasty at the end there. I mean, he was sort of taken out almost.
Well, he has every right to be extremely angry, and he's come to have a word with. Let's see if we can hear this.
Back to the series.
Woo! Well, we had a good race car, and Cheever was being really aggressive midway through the race, so I said, let him go. Mitch Davis called a great race, really did. He put us in contention. We just knew if we kept calm and kept with our plan, we'd have some things come to us, and it was nice to put it to Cheever there at the end. And for us, that being a new team, Team Purex, Dry and Reinbolt Racing, and our new deal with racing for kids this year, couldn't start any better.
How important is team chemistry? Mitch Davis comes on board, and all of a sudden, the Purex team is like a totally different team.
We got John Menard, Johnny O'Gara, who worked for John Menard when I was there. He don't work for him no more. He's my crew chief, and Mitch, and Mitch's guys, and Dennis and Eric, my partners in the team. It's a pretty good day.
Eddie Cheever finished third, the Nissan Infiniti, and the Riley and Scott chassis. Boy, I tell you what, Eddie, you were hooked up. What happened there at the very end? It looked like you had it.
It was really annoying. I mean, we spent all day out there. I'm sure my car, I don't know who it was, and my car was much quicker than his. I go to pass him on the bottom, he cuts me off. I go around the top, he moves me up. I got in the dirt, and that was it. Very, very disappointed. The Nissan did very well. We had a difficult weekend. This was their race to have, and I am dying to give them their first win, and today they deserved it. My engine was very strong, and the car did a great job, and right now I'm a tad angry, so I better stop before I say something wrong.
Eddie Cheever, third place.
He put us in sequence to do just what we did.
Well, there we are. I think Eddie Cheever has every right to feel annoyed, don't you, Chris?
Yes, no, that really was, frankly, a disgraceful piece of driving by the tail ender there. And poor Eddie really had nowhere to go.
No.
And it was a big moment for him. His car is not sponsored this year. He's a former 500 winner, and the Nissan there for the first time really looked like they were going to win a race. He must have been well hooked up, and to be in that sort of position, just pushed out of it. We got onto the marbles, you know, the bits of rubber out on the side of the track. Immediately the car loses adhesion, and he's gone. And not only does he lose first place, he gets jumped for second as well, and he ends up third. You know, and that's a really disappointing. I mean, you know, 2-3 laps to go. The guy's have right to be angry.
Yeah, and just finally, John, Robbie Buell, we've got to say well done to him, but you'd go along with Chris that Eddie had a raw deal.
Really, I have to think it was Eddie's race, and that's the trouble with racing on a 1 mile oval. You know, it's so easy to trip up over the back markers. I don't know whether it was a rookie, but you know, those guys are kept busy, and there you go. He just did the thing completely wrong.
Okay, there we are. That's just about it from this programme from Disney World, except to tell you there is some really great motor racing coming up here on Sky Sports in February. In fact, we're going to stay in Florida, some 80 miles to the east at Daytona Beach, for all the major Speed Week events. Now, first on February the 13th on Sky Sports 3 at 9 p.m. it's the first NASCAR event of the season, the Bud Shootout. Then the following weekend, on Saturday, February the 19th, we're going to bring you the opening round of the Busch Grand National Series live here on Sky Sports 3. That's at 5 p.m. And then the following day, Sunday the 20th of February, also on Sky Sports 3, starting at 5, it's the big one, the Daytona 500 extended 4-hour flag-to-flag coverage of NASCAR's greatest race. So all that then to look forward to. Right now, though, it's well done to Robbie Buell. From me, David Bobin, it's goodbye. We're going to leave you now with some images from what's been a pretty eventful race today to get the new millennium underway. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.